Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Entitled Parents Reddit video. In our first story, my mom wants me to repay her the plane tickets. Let's jump right in. So last year, my mom wanted my wife and I to fly with her and our two kids to Wyoming to see my older sister. We were all ready to go when, at the last minute, my older brother randomly texted the group chat my mom and sister had with us about the trip. He said he was looking forward to seeing us. Here's the problem with that. I specifically asked my mother if my brother was going to be a part of this trip. She swore up and down that he was not going to be anywhere near us. He had just gotten out of prison, again. I don't like my older brother because he is a liar and a thief and some inappropriate nastiness he did to me when we were younger. My family downplays what happened and even tells me that certain events didn't happen. My older brother is a narcissist who needs people to like him. He feels threatened when he knows someone doesn't like him and becomes really hostile. That's pretty triggering for me. He does things like follow me into a room alone to trap me and tell me how much of a witch I'm being to him. Stuff like that. I just can't stand it, and no one wants to see that. So after confronting my mother for conspiring against me while planning the trip, my wife told my mother that we were no longer going on the trip. Instead, I shut off my phone and we took our kids on a family trip on our own. There was a bunch of family drama, but eventually we reconciled. My mother doesn't like how much I will defend my boundaries, but we get by. She called me yesterday to tell me the plane tickets from that trip were still active, but only the four of us can use them because they are in our names. My mom can't transfer them to her name or use them herself even though she paid for them. Whoops. She wants me to pay her back the price of the 4 tickets as well as use the tickets before the end of the year on a trip with her to see my sister. I bought them for you, so it will have to be a trip with all of us. There is no way in any realm of hell I'm paying her for stuff. The wife and I don't know where we are taking our kids yet, but we still have a few months to decide. Story number 2, the time I gave a kid a reality check. So this is my first post here, so be kind. A few years back, I was traveling from or to India. I cannot remember, to be honest. I booked my seat in the back of the plane knowing that families with younger kids are usually seated to the front, so I hoped to stay away from screaming kids on a long flight. I reach my seat and happily sit down next to an empty seat and an empty row behind me. Last aboard was a family of 3, mother, guy, the father maybe, and kid, about 6 or 7 I'd guess. Of course, they are seated right behind me. Ugh. As soon as they were seated, the kids started to kick my seat in a super monotonous rhythm. Twice the ugh. A few minutes go by and I turn around and kindly ask the kid to stop it since it is annoying. With a smug grin, it stops just to restart faster this time. Time passes, still kicking in my lower back. I ask the kid again, this time a bit more determined. Mind you, I am 6'2" and about 100 kilograms or 220 pounds. Same stupid face, no reaction. So I turn to the mother and ask her to tell the kid to stop. With the most pretentious look and tone, she gave me the, "We don't say no to our little prince. We think he needs to find his own limits, and we will not raise him with rules." Thrice the ugh. The kicking proceeds. I look at the kid, keeping in mind that he is A, in kindergarten or elementary school, and B, the prince. Buckle up, buckaroo. I lean to him, look him straight in the eye, and say very calmly, "There is no Santa Claus. Your mom lied to you." Oh boy, he looked at me blankly. The kicking stopped. What happened now was just, he turned to his mother, hitting her, screaming full power. The mom yelled at me why I would scar her little prince like that. In the same pretentious tone, I answer, "I believe kids should find their limits themselves, and when a stranger tells your kid to flipping stop the kicking against his seat, he should listen next time." I put on my headphones, took a sleeping pill, and ignored the tantrum from hell that happened behind my back. This happened like 3 or 4 years ago, but I just remembered it now and thought I would share. Me and my cousins were staying in tents at a fairground next to some softball fields, where softball tournaments were going on for the weekend. My cousins and sister had all played in the tournament, but I didn't. It was Saturday night and all of the games had finished except for the 16 and under championship game, which my older cousins wanted to watch, so we all walked from our campsite to the fields. Me and my younger cousins, who cared nothing about the game, went onto the one field that was never used for the tournament because it was overgrown with grass. We climbed on top of the dugouts, the roof of which was probably about 4 feet off the ground since these were solid concrete dugouts built into the ground, and we began watching YouTube videos on my sister's iPod Touch. Like 10 minutes later, a little kid who was probably about 6 walked up to the backside of the dugout, which, if you know how softball and baseball fields are set up, would be against the fence. So this kid was on the other side of the fence, and immediately just tells us we have to get down. We all kind of just ignored him, not caring much. The kid continued complaining to us to get down, but eventually gave up and left. However, a few minutes later, he returned with an adult woman who started screeching at us that we were going to get hurt from falling, that we were damaging the property, that we weren't supposed to be there, and whatnot. By now, we had attracted a bit of attention because there was this random lady screaming at a couple of preteen girls through a fence. The lady tried to get some other people to help and even asked for our parents, but nobody really said anything. Finally, she said, "I'm the owner of this park. I need you to get down and we're going to find your parents." When she said that, we actually were about to listen to her when suddenly another woman behind her said, "No, I'm the owner. Those kids are fine." The woman immediately shut up and left with her kid, probably extremely embarrassed. Story number 4, Karen at a comic book store of all places. So this literally just happened a few days ago. Some backstory: I've been an avid comic book collector since I was a kid. I'm in my mid-30s now. Since COVID restrictions have eased up in my city, my local book and hobby shop decided to celebrate by having a rep from CGC come in, do appraisals, and if you want, have it sent away to get it thoroughly looked at, get your book sealed and graded, which greatly enhances a comic's value. I decided to bring in my Fantastic Four number 49, which has the first appearance of Galactus for you comic nerds like me, signed by Stan Lee. Rest in peace, Stan. Enter entitled mother and entitled kid behind me in line. The kid must have been like 16 or 17. I get a tap on the shoulder. "Hey, I see you have a signed book. Do you want to trade for it?" "No thanks, this is like my second most prized book and it's signed by the late Mr. Lee." "But my son has like 100 books he can trade you for, and I'll even throw in $100. "I really want that issue, that cover is legendary." "Sorry kiddo, you're gonna have to spend some time at cons or auctions to get your hands on this issue, and it won't be cheap." "He needs that comic." At this point, the store owner stepped in and said, "No solicitation or private transactions in my store. I have a business to run." They left in a huff, giving me hard side-eye on the way. Afterwards, my book was appraised at 6.5 out of 10. I'm still waiting for the confirmation from CGC for the final number. With the signature, that puts its value at about just under $6,000. This is John from Slash Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, then subscribe and click on that notifications bell. We would love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.